So this is the build that I did for my little brother. Um, Essentially, this is a Maingear Vybe with an Apex ICS distro. That's what Maingear calls it, but really is just a Bits Power distro that was made for Maingear. In terms of the case, it's essentially a LandCool version 1. But that case only came in black and white, I think. And Maingear has pretty much changed the front fascia and made the case come in gray, purple, white, and black. I think the gray stands out pretty nicely. I don't believe there are significant modifications to the case outside of the front cover that makes it a Maingear case. Maybe the stamping of the text, but other than that, it's pretty much a Landy case. The case itself supports 420 on the front. I'm sorry, not a 420. A 360 goes up to here in the front. You can also put a 360 on top. I don't believe you can have a 360 on top and a 360 in the front. You can have a 240, 360, or 360, 240. I think you can even fit a 280 in the front, but that will limit. I don't think you can have 360 with a 280 in the front either, because the holes in the front that hold the radiator, they're not adjustable. So the radiator height doesn't really move up and down. And that is a limitation unless you mod. If you mod the holes, then you can slide the radiator up and down. Other parts of the build is there's 10900K with Bits Power Summit, and there is a TUF 3080 OC. I originally had a 4-to-Win-3 in here, but I didn't want to wait for the block, and I already had the block for a TUF, so I just used the TUF. The fans, I've actually done a video on these fans before. These are the PC Cooler RGB fans. They're actually built extremely well, to the point where for the price of 3 for $35, you would be shocked at how well these are built. I think they put a lot of the Corsair fans to shame. Really shameful when you hold those pricier $25, $30, $40 each fans, and then you feel these, and you're just shocked at what's the markup, right? In terms of performance, they perform very similar to Corsair MLs and Noctua. Not as good as Noctua's, the top of the line Noctua's, but we're talking within a 1 to 2 degree here. They are DRGB. The halos are on both sides, so they can do all the fancy effects. They come in a 3-pack and a 5-pack. I would say get the 3-pack, because in the 5-pack they do this funny wiring where the RGB header and the PWM header are literally tied together, and that doesn't make it good for wire management. So the 3-pack is much more, the wires are split, easier to run, etc., and more easy to manage. Other than that, for the Apex part, this is essentially a Bits Power distro. I think Bits Power was selling it without the pump on its own, but I don't believe you can buy this anywhere. I think the only place where you can buy this distro and the case is either from Maingear directly, or from Micro Center. I picked up both of these at Micro Center. The Apex unit itself with the pump, this is essentially, it's a Bits Power S1. It's pretty much based off of DDC. This was $150, and the case itself, I got it on sale for about $109. Right, so together we're talking $210, and that is pretty much the cost of a Liani dynamic distro without the case itself. So if you wanted something that's kind of buy it and put it together like Legos, then this is an alternative to a dynamic, right? You can stand out a little bit, not have the same build everybody else in the world has. Talking about the GPU for a second here, actually. I'm not using the stock vertical GPU location mount area, which is right here. There is a bracket that goes here for the vertical mount that's sold separately. They sell that for about $40. I think it's the same vertical GPU mount as some of the older Liani cases had. And if you're going to put, a longer GPU in the front, it's not going to work, especially with this distro piece here. I think you get about 10 inches, 10 and a half at max, if you consider in the drain valve here. Some people have asked, how's the airflow? Since in the B-roll, you'll see that this front of this case is flat. So what I'll do is I'll flip it around and show you the ventilation on the other side. So this is where the ventilation really happens. The radiator actually mounts flush to the frame, which starts here. So this gap is entirely for airflow. There is a magnetic filter. I removed the filter. I found that getting rid of the filter gained me about a 1 to 2 C reduction in water temperature. I don't think dust filters are a big deal if you don't have a dusty house or a dusty apartment and you do a dusting inside your computer every month, then I don't think dust filters are really necessary. I understand if you have a lot of pets or something, then, pet dander, maybe that's a concern. But for me and my family, it's not really a concern. In terms of temperatures, I will flip the PC around and we'll talk about the temperatures. For the CPU, it's overclocked to 5 gigahertz all-core, max voltage 1.32. I can probably go higher, but given that I only have 480 worth of space, I don't find it necessary, and I don't want to create more heat if I don't have to, because this is not exactly the world's best airflow, right? So I'm getting about, I think 80s maximum on the CPU. The GPU temps, I haven't really found a block for the 30 series that has a great delta. My water temperature is about 29 C idle. That's because it's fairly warm in my apartment. So water temperature, I've never seen my water temperature go below 28, regardless of how big the loop is, how ridiculous of a system it is. It's always going to be around 28, 29. And under load, my water temperature went to about 35. So it's still in that good category. I've had the GPU taps out at most around 55 C. This gen, I just haven't seen any particular water block that does a delta that's not in the 20s yet, low 20s. So, the chip is larger than the previous generation, so it does generate more heat. So there's that. So yeah, for the size of the case being mid-tower, it's a pretty small case, and with just two 240s, I think it's doing great. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this run that I did for the CPU to GPU. If I had more time, I would have had a custom terminal made to replace the one on the GPU block. This way, just put all that into one custom terminal and it'd be a lot cleaner. But I did go very minimal with my runs. I pretty much just have the out and then another one coming to the radiator, and I only have 2 pipes coming down. I think in the B-roll you can see the 2 pipes just coming down. Overall, like I was saying, it's a good case, and it's a small case, but it's a good case for general water cooling and general purpose. I think from a perspective of value for the case and the distro, it's so much cheaper than getting the dynamic distro and a dynamic. Granted, you don't have as much radiator support, but people like to throw 3 radiators in a dynamic for no real reason other than just, oh look, I have 3 radiators. It's not always about how many rads you have, etc. It's about your component heat, your airflow, your air volume. All of these things matter. So with that said, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I do have that H-frame coming up that I'm working on. So yeah, thanks for watching again, and stay safe.